on the party line with Sarah and Christy. This is I'm on the Phone podcast, where we're healing out loud, sharing culty stories, and laughing at the mess along the way. So grab a coffee, a bestie, settle in, and let's talk. Like last week, we left off with like that question about like when did you first like see the cracks?
Oh yeah,
yeah, which I found to be very interesting myself because we haven't really talked about that necessarily. But then I have like a full list of questions now, by the way.
yeah.
Which I don't know if you had a chance to go over and
Yes, I've looked
answer
at
those.
I've like in my head I have, and I was gonna anyway. I really like this line of questioning. Makes you like really think back, like where it all started, and
it's
kind of a mind exercise for sure. Like where,
yeah,
I kind of got upset all over again too, a little bit. You know,
just a tad. Every time I start thinking about it in depth, I get really angry.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because I absolutely feel like so betrayed and just robbed.
Yeah, and it also like the choices that I made in that whole situation, like while we were in it, and I thought I was so right, and it just it's just so frustrating. There was one story I know I have told you, but it was when my oldest was probably 4. I mean, I remember thinking she's really young to be thinking that. And we went through a drive-through at McDonald's actually, and the girl who took the money had earrings and tattoos where you could see, lots of makeup, and then like pink hair, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but she had different color hair. And very kind girl, very, very young and very, very sweet. And when we pulled through to get our food, my daughter said, well, she's not going to heaven. And I just, like, even way back then, I was just like, oh, whoa. Just like hit me wrong. And I was like, oh, why do you say that? And so she started listing all the things that she could see. And she never once realized how sweet the girl was.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is sort of where everything began for me, is when I saw it through the eyes of my daughter.
A child. Yeah.
Yeah. And realized what we were conditioning her to, how we were conditioning her to think, and how to judge at such a young age. And that is where the pullback started. But Sarah, why did it take then 13 years later for me to realize, 12 years later actually, for me to realize, okay, this is not right. We are not going to go here anymore. And pull the plug. Let's see, 12 years and three more kids later. Like where it was. And I can tell you, I mean, I want to go through these questions, obviously.
Yeah, well,
some of them are like, why did we stay that long?
Question number 2, I mean, let's answer that. Like, what did you tell yourself at the time to explain that away?
Okay, now this is, because I've thought about this one a lot. This is where I constantly told myself that I was wrong, that I was not right. If I was not teaching my kids this way, if I didn't want to wear the skirt, or I wanted to cut my hair, or I wanted my face to look better with by putting some makeup on, whatever it was, if that was in my heart, then I was a sinner, and I needed to turn that over, and I needed to surrender it to the Lord. Like, that's the narrative that I am still being told by somebody that I'm not following the Bible. And so it's like that's what goes on in your head on a loop, always, constantly. And it's like that's why I think I went further, is because I genuinely believed that I was the one in the wrong. I mean, obviously, that was my whole life, like my whole life. It wasn't just my husband that told me that. It was family members, and you know, I fought against my own identity and my own personality my whole life.
Yep.
So obviously, it was me. It was not anyone else. It had to be me. And I was the one that was going to drag my children to hell if I didn't get this figured out. But it was a year after year constant battle when I finally realized there is absolutely nothing wrong with me. I am like, oh, anyway.
So,
But
I
yeah,
mean, like, all I can think of this whole time is that you were self-gaslighting.
yeah,
Because, well, you had to survive.
it was survival
Because,
for
yeah, it was
sure.
survival. Um, you We're taught to do that from a very young age. You're not allowed to
Yeah.
observe reality and make a logical conclusion
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't line up with their theology and doctrine. So, like, the
Right.
fact that that girl had on makeup and she had tattoos and pink hair and all those things, those are all completely external, and in their eyes, like, those are very rebellious things to do,
Yes.
regardless of the person's actual behavior.
Right.
They can only see external things that they just aren't comfortable with, that they don't like, that they view
Mm-hmm.
as a rebellion, even though she was just expressing, like, her own identity in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Her behavior was sounded probably better than theirs, at
Absolutely.
least in that a simple interaction. So, like,
Absolutely.
so you have to, like, self gaslight yourself in order to make it make sense, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where you're living in cognitive dissonance, where, like, you have two opposing truths and you're forcing them to coexist,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that's not sustainable.
No.
um and, like, those kind those kinds of things are what really wreak havoc on your mind and your
Mm-hmm.
body. um
Mm-hmm.
because, like, it's an impossibility for those to coexist, and yet
Right.
it's like forcing those magnets together, like they're wrong ends. It's
Yeah.
like you're forcing those together. It's just not going to happen, but you will push as long as you can until it won't.
Right. Right.
They never come together.
No. And the thing is that my when my oldest, for sure, she's probably the most like me in that way, like self
Mm-hmm.
gaslighting herself. Um, she was told this at such a young age that certain things that she was into or that she liked were not what God liked, and not what God wanted her to be into. And even though it was like like I noticed that it was starting to affect her that way, and I thought, oh no, we can't. In fact, since we've left, she's told me some pretty heartbreaking stories about her thinking, like what she thought and how she felt when we would tell her things that just simply weren't true, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she got to the point where she just hated God because God didn't want her to enjoy anything. The way that the thing about it is that just outward expression of hair color and jewelry and makeup is very personal and cultural. Like, it has a lot to do with the way you were raised. It has a lot to do with the environment you're in, your friends and your family. All of that has nothing to do with spiritual. Nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, just your identity being messed with like that. I mean, of course, I have a special place in my heart for that. So,
Yeah. Well, I
Anyway,
mean, we both do because it's so core to being able to function,
to live,
like
absolutely.
to literally just function, like as an adult, and as a child growing up, that's where you learn what makes you tick. And as you're growing up, you will try on different things. Like some things might be like, oh, that looks interesting. I like that, or I want to try that. And you can try it for a little bit and decide, oh, I really like this, or you really don't. And
Right.
kind of like moving from like a childish palate of food to an adult palate.
Yeah. You
It's
kind of
like
grow and
you grow into it.
Right.
And so, but you have to be allowed to like try things,
to experience it.
Yes. And decide what's good and what's not.
Yes.
Obviously, there are things that can be bad for you, but the color of your hair, is just it doesn't affect anything.
Mm-mm.
It just makes religious people who like to control how people look, it makes them uncomfortable, and then it makes them want to control you, and that's it.
And
there's
that's
nothing
pretty much
moral about the color of your hair.
No, it obviously comes down to control.
Yeah, it's yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to the next question. Like, what kept you staying longer than you wanted to?
So this thing in my head that I knew my husband wouldn't go with me. Like, I knew that, like, down deep. And when you're raised that really women are to get married and have families, and I wanted to do so polar opposite to what my mother did, which was get divorced. Because I felt like that in some way my kids or me and my siblings had it a little bit harder because of her divorce. But it was simply because my mom kept us in that church, like going to Bible school and doing all that. And that's where we were treated differently. If she had put us in public school or maybe gotten away from the church completely, we would not have been treated that way by anybody. I mean, it's just, and so it was like playing in my head that I had to keep my kids in this church. I had to keep go, because this was the only way to heaven and all of this crap. And so it was fear. It was fear, for one thing, that I was going to send my kids straight to hell if I left. It was just this idea that was the only way.
Yeah.
And I had promised my kids before that I would not leave their dad. I made that promise to them.
Why?
Because it was something that they were afraid of for a really long time. And I think it was because they would hear it in Sunday school. So there was a Sunday school teacher that had a Sunday school lesson about fornication. Yeah. Like, that's what 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds need to hear. That's what they need to hear.
About fornication and divorce to like pre-K and kindergartners.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like the worst. Like, you don't talk to kids about stuff like that. Like, they don't care. They don't understand it. They don't know what it is. They don't need to know. They don't need to know, right? That is so inappropriate. So they heard about this at a very young age, and they would come home and ask me about it. And of course, I didn't know, or that this probably should not be talked about in Sunday school. It is so ludicrous now to me, Sarah.
The water we swam in was so just toxic, and we did not see it.
Disgusting. And it was sort of like, that is a very, fornication is a sexual term. I mean, what the heck? I'm like thinking of it now. Okay, so anyway, so my kids would come home and I felt like that to put their minds at ease because they would be upset and they would just be like, "Are you going to leave daddy? Is daddy going to leave us?" If, all this
Why
stuff.
are they so? I mean,
And they
what
should
had
not
them
have
thinking that
ever.
was a possibility?
Yeah, that was talked about in Sunday school, Sarah.
Oh my goodness.
And so, but also there's a couple of like Odyssey Adventure about
Adventures in
on
Odyssey.
yeah Adventures in Odyssey on divorce. And
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I
yeah,
vaguely
there's
remember
there's
that.
just a few, but those all came from the spiritual organization. It had
Yeah.
nothing to do with what I was allowing them to watch. I mean, back then there was no YouTube. I didn't let them touch YouTube with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't touch YouTube with a 10-foot pole back then. I mean, it was the devil. So, yeah.
Depends on where you
So
were
that
at.
was, yeah, true. But Sarah, I finally got to the place where I realized that it was in their best interest.
Yeah.
And I had to tell myself that some promises that you made 10 years prior were okay to break. Like that wasn't a sin to break a promise for the good of your kids.
Yeah.
But it's sad. But that's why I stayed. That is like it was
Because
just
you knew that he was not going to come with you. Like, there's no chance. So, was there a moment that you realized, or what was the moment maybe? Where did you figure out that you couldn't unsee anything anymore? Like the blinders came off.
so this is very personal. Like this one
You don't have
story
to
just
share if you don't want to.
jumps out at me. I can't think of anything else though. Okay, so my kids came home and they were like, our teacher stood up in class today and said that if a woman steps out of her house in a pair of pants, she is a sinner. Sorry, I had to get my water. And I was like, okay, well, that crosses off a lot of people. A lot of people are going to hell.
The majority of the world is going to hell.
Yeah, we're all going to hell in a handbasket. But
Like
it also,
the super majority.
Yeah, it also put a lot of people in a basket for my kids. It put you in there. It put their aunt that I'm not going to name, two of their aunts in there. It put some pretty good friends that we've known in there. And so they start asking me, is this person going to hell? Is this person going to hell? And the amount of stress that it put them under, they didn't go back after Christmas break after that. In fact, I mean, thank God it happened like right before Christmas break, I believe. So they finished the semester, which I shouldn't have. I should have just taken them out immediately. They finished the semester, and then it was like pulling teeth to get my money back because I had paid for the whole entire year. And which that should have not been the case either. They shouldn't have even thought that they could keep the money, I mean, just like freaking kidding me. Anyway, so yeah, that was.
Hey, I'm just going to say, when it comes to these types of institutions, they probably already had the money spent. And
They
this
probably
group in
did.
particular, because they don't have much.
They don't.
And they don't pay their employees much. I am like, at all. We're talking like, I know you're aware.
Yeah,
but that, I mean, that has been problematic.
They're actually very wealthy.
Well, I think they get a lot of support from their donors.
Yeah.
But
I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
And so, but it was still, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, that just crosses like so many lines.
It
All right.
does. It
So what
does.
finally helped you trust your own instincts?
Well, as you have, I'm still learning to do that.
It's a process.
It is a process, and it's like getting out of your own head. Like sometimes that, it like starts to cycle in your head, and you just keep on going. And eventually you have to jump off that hamster wheel and just stop and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I actually don't get caught up in that a lot. I've always been really quick to make decisions, even if I don't trust it, and then suffer the consequence later. That has always been that has always been me. So I learn by experience for sure, instead of just like, I don't think much before I go. But when you've got 4 kids looking at you, you kind of have to get out of that rut of, of doing something and then regretting it later. And so, so I've done better to like have clear plans. But when I'm able to like side by side things, like certain situations, and I can make sense of it, of like why it's not a sin, and answer these questions, it's gotten faster lately. Obviously, I can check the boxes off pretty quick,
Yeah.
Then I've learned to trust my own instincts simply by like exercising it in my head. I have to, it's like, I'm a 46-year-old grown-ass woman. I have to be able to trust my own instincts. I am an adult. So I
mean, it doesn't matter what your age is, like coming out of this.
It really doesn't.
It's just, is it something that takes time? And it varies from person to person, I think. Like for me, just real quick, it was like once I had removed myself from the situation, I was finally allowed to, because my instincts were there and I would see them like the whole time, and I'm like, this, I would be like clocking stuff as it was happening a lot of times, and I'm like, this isn't right, but I couldn't do anything or say anything.
Right.
And finally, once I was able to step away, it was just like, it wasn't that I hadn't trusted my instincts necessarily before. I mean, there definitely was a transition, but it was pretty quick for me. But once we stepped away to where they no longer held power over us, it's just like, okay, like, I know what I see.
Right. Right.
Like,
absolutely.
Still, one of the big things for me has been just not making snap decisions, like slowing the decision making process down a bit.
Yeah.
Which is different. That's hard for me to do in general because I'm very impatient.
Same.
So that's more of just like a me thing versus a cult thing. But like slowing my responses down to situations, allowing myself to like really think through it first before I respond, and then actually decide if I'm going to respond.
Yeah.
I think that would be the difference for me.
Yeah.
So how did that environment, like, this is part of like, it really ties into that last question. How did that environment shape how you saw yourself?
You mean while I was still in the environment?
Well, definitely while you're in it. But even now, like, we're still working on mindset of how we view ourselves now. I just ran into an acquaintance friend yesterday at the store. for some reason. We always run into each other at the store. And she's like, she shops for a lot of other people. And she's always, I'm like, are you shopping for yourself this time or what? And she's like, oh, I'm shopping for like 2 other people and me.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Anyways, but she had just shared in passing that, and she's been out for like 10 or 12 years. Okay.
Okay.
Like it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Like a long minute. And like for her, she is just now starting into how it impacted her psychologically and how like that whole mindset from that world, if you don't address it, it is still harmful when you leave because you haven't addressed how you see yourself and how you see others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have observed that so many times, like in some of the groups I was in, like in social media, like right as we were leaving and for a little while after we had left, and that I removed myself from.
Yeah.
Because while they were no longer in the cult, the mindset that they had around women in particular was vile.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's like one thing that I refuse to put up with and excuse is like the sexualization and objectification of women and making jokes about them and like literally like locker room talk still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely not. It's not funny. It never will be. It's inappropriate. It's rape culture. That's where it starts.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And there's no education towards that, right? Like
no,
there's no sex ed, which is highly important. I mean,
there's nothing about consent.
Nothing about consent. And honestly, that's really the parents' job is to do that. You shouldn't leave that to the school, in my opinion. But if they're not going to get it at home, the school has to take up the torch, and carry that.
So many kids are being assaulted by their family members. Like that is where the primary predators are, is people
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of reasons why kids aren't getting it from their parents, because either they're the abusers or they're so ignorant themselves.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad, to be honest. But I'm kind of answering your question, but
oh no, go ahead.
Though that environment and the way that it impacts the way you view yourself, they teach you to hate yourself.
Yes.
And therefore you hate everyone else.
Absolutely.
Like you think that you deserve eternal punishment in hell for like the most minor infraction. Like you accidentally had a bad attitude. That can send you to hell.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. So they again, it's that whole worm theology thing. Like you are but a little worm who is worthless and awful and a wretch. I mean, like think about the songs we sang, like that saved a wretch like me. How deprecating they were to us as humans. Like how like the vilest sinner.
Yeah.
And God's coming, or Jesus is coming to save us from that, from ourselves, because we're so vile. But they never shift us in the mindset, even like, okay, so if you get saved, I would assume you're not the vilest sinner anymore.
Right. They never get you out of that.
That mindset. They constantly they're like, well, that's the mindset that they just live in. And so when you view yourself that way, that is like the absolute best way to create narcissism, because narcissists are like not just a little insecure, it is like so deep.
Yeah.
It creates a monster.
Yeah.
And that's what you see happening a lot, because they're telling you you're the best and the worst.
Yeah. And what are people going to gravitate towards? I mean, a lot of the guys gravitated towards the best, but a lot of the girls were the worst. And that the language is very confusing because, whoops. The language is very confusing because they're saying you're not worthy, but yet we must have been worthy enough for Jesus to die for us. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at all that we are just like, we're nothing. I heard that a lot. We're so unworthy and we're nothing, yet this man came and died for us. And it makes no sense, Sarah.
Well,
it makes absolutely no sense.
Lots of cognitive dissonance in what we're being taught. Like, we're being taught opposing ideas constantly.
Yeah, constantly. And there, where you said it makes you hate yourself and it makes you hate others, is so true. And I've seen it in myself and my daughter. We are not naturally antisocial. We are actually naturally social people. She used to literally, that's how she met your daughter. She just walked up to her and she would die first before she would want to do something like that now.
Yeah.
So it's like just recently, what has happened with me, I have just recently realized I am not an antisocial person. I want a job where I'm actually working with people. And 2 months ago, a month ago, I would have said that is the last job I ever want, is working with people. So it does. It makes you hate yourself. It makes you hate others. I've gone through this whole stint where I just hate men. Just can't stand them. And what has it been? A couple months since you and I had that conversation?
Ish, yeah, somewhere in
maybe,
there. Well, maybe
something like that.
Weeks. I don't know.
That I have had conversations with myself on kind of like a rotating basis, regular basis, and realize that the reason I hate them is because the only ones I know are part of that organization. They're part of that mindset.
Yeah.
And there's, I'm sure, others out there. Now, I'm not necessarily interested in going out and meeting all those, but at the same time, I'm not guarded as much anymore,
Yeah.
Because where I want to meet people is in a totally different environment and situation.
Yeah.
And so I'm not afraid of that anymore because I know I'm not going to be meeting those kind of people.
I really don't like the guys from there.
Yeah. But that's all I have to compare it to,
Exactly.
And so, of course, I'm going to just hate them.
You're sampling your experience of the men that you have met and interacted with. Not one has been good.
Not one. And because they've all had that narrative in their head. Even if they were kind and nice and all that, they all had that upbringing and that mindset. The ones I met, they might not all be like that, but that's just what they're all about.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what they represented to you.
Yeah. It's just what I heard some influencer say, and he was a guy. He said the most dangerous people right now to women is white Christian men. And it's so true. It is so true because they are being taught the most toxic, I don't know, maybe you could help. I can't think of my words, but anyway.
As someone, I think the same guy, but I can't think of his name right now. Speech prof. He
yes, I love
they like to go to the Trust Me Bro, or no, that's another guy. The Trust Me Bro University.
He is. Oh, There's two of them that I want. He's so cool. I like both of those guys.
Well, this third one that I'm thinking of, he's from like Australia, so he has like a cool accent. But
I don't know him.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Is
like
he?
makes
I'll have to
fun
look
of
him
them
up.
so hard, and it's a similar thing that he's doing.
Yeah,
but because you know how like they'll show those videos and they'll like insert themselves and like respond to what they're saying. Yes. So he does that, but like he'll let them be talking and he'll be going.
Because they're so dumb. Some of those guys think they have all kinds of wisdom to share with the world.
Some of his
and
stuff
it's so stupid.
He at least makes it kind of funny.
I love it when they make fun of him. He
totally makes fun of him. And yeah, I like his accent.
Yeah, I would too. That's hilarious.
He cracks me up. But yeah, him, Speech Prof, and Professor Neil. I wish I could think of his name right now, but I
think
can't.
It's Speech Prof that I like.
Speech Prof. Yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so what parts of you had to go quiet in order to survive there? Oi.
All the parts that mattered. I really feel like you start to surface like every once in a while. Like things become too heavy and too much, and you begin to surface every once in a while. And then once you get to the surface and you explode, quite literally, which is what I would do every once in a while basis, probably at least once a year. That would happen with me. Once I would surface then and have like that kind of an explosion, and it wasn't always full force, because what I was feeling I never could actually always like say in full.
Yeah.
But once that happened, it was sort of like, okay, now I need to go to the altar at church. I need to go and ask for forgiveness from all these people. I need to, and it didn't matter who it was. Like, it could be my husband, it could be my mother-in-law, it could be my father-in-law, it could be my brother-in-law, it could be my mom, it could be my sister. I exploded on all of them. And that is why I got the term that I was like unpredictable. Like, I was always told that I was unpredictable. They were so scared of me because you never knew what I was going to do and all of this stuff. But what was wrong was it was just building. Like, I could tolerate it for only so long. Like, a person can tolerate abuse for only so long before finally, if they're a strong person way down deep, they're going to explode. But every time my identity got to the surface, and
well, was it your identity or your boundaries?
Well, it wasn't my identity. It was my true self trying to set my boundaries and not realizing that I had every right to. I had every right to set boundaries. And once that happened, then I was always made to feel guilty for them. Sarah, very few times did anybody ever come to me and say, I am sorry for like poking at you or accusing you of something you didn't do, or nothing like that. It was always the explosion, my explosion, that had to be apologized for. But never did they reciprocate like true remorse for helping me get to that point, to be quite honest. Well, and my explosion was not something I needed to apologize for.
Were they upset about your reaction to how they were treating you? So were you exploding because you were being stuffed down, or are you exploding because you're being treated bad?
Most, I would say all the time, most if not all the time, I had every right to explode on them.
Because like I'm sorry, I'm just feeling like a disconnect between like so we're talking about parts of you that had to be quiet. So, but you're talking about like exploding because people are just running over you. So I guess, I mean, I guess they could kind of be similar.
Okay, so the parts of me that had to be quiet.
Like, what were they shutting down?
So the parts of me that had to be quiet was just my voice on speaking my boundaries. Basically.
So you weren't allowed to give anyone boundaries?
I wasn't allowed to give people boundaries. That was, and in turn, I was teaching my kids that there were no boundaries to set. You know, you didn't have the right to have boundaries. When in reality, you had every right to have boundaries. I mean, the public school system teaches 3-year-olds coming in at a daycare setting or preschool setting that there is a bubble that is around you. And people are not supposed to cross into that bubble unless you give them permission.
Right.
You should never walk up to a child and expect a hug from the child. Yeah. The child should offer the hug to you. You should never force a child to hug you.
Or those you can ask, and if they want to.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm curious. You don't have to answer specifically. I'm just curious though. So answer if you want. Like, can you give an example of like what kind of boundaries were being crossed?
So, let's see. Okay, so there was somebody in.
Sorry, and hold on. You don't have to obviously we're not going to put anything on here that you're not comfortable with. I'm just wondering because you keep like you're being silenced. Like what specifically is being silenced? Because I feel like so maybe the silent. I think where I'm feeling that disconnect is like where you're feeling where you silenced yourself. So it's almost going back to that whole point of self-gaslighting. Like you're seeing a thing that is clearly wrong, right?
Okay, so when we would go to family functions or, you know, either side of the family, it didn't matter which ones, I always felt like I was on guard about my kids, you know. Mm-hmm. Would they do something that was that wasn't a rule at our house, but they're going to get in trouble for it at this house, you know, and that kind of thing. They were young. And so instead of like allowing me to parent my kids, they would just take the role of parenting my kids. And a lot of times it was so much harsher than what I would do. And I always felt just because I'm very protective of my kids. I understand that. But when you cannot, as an adult, show kindness to a child that is not yours and allow the parent to, I mean, even if you had to walk up to me and say, I would rather her not do this. I'm in your home. I would take care of it. But what I don't want you to do is yell at my child. That's what I don't want you to do. And I never felt like that I could speak up and take up for my kids. And that has been a big issue, even presently, that I have tried to remedy and show my kids that I most certainly am going to stand up and take up for them, you know.
Excuse me.
But it's taken a while for them to realize that. But I did not feel like that I could speak up for them. Yeah. And in turn, I didn't feel like I could speak up for myself. If I was wrongly accused of doing something or doing something in a certain attitude was what it was most of the time. And I didn't do it in that attitude. My immediate response would have been to apologize and not try to explain. Like, I would just let them think that was me.
At being run over. You're not allowed to be angry.
Well, just anything. Yeah, just anything at all. Like, if I sounded snarky about something or if I, you know, whatever. I ended up a lot of times having to go back and apologize for it. So because at the end of the day, what I wanted peace.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I was a people pleaser. I was not. And I was willing to completely let myself go in order to please the other person.
So essentially you just buried yourself. Like it was a lot of self-betrayal.
Yes. And in a lot of ways, Sarah, she's still buried. Like that's part of like the whole.
We have the shovels now.
Yeah, we've got the tools.
We're gonna dig her out.
And I feel like that she has more, and I know I'm talking about myself in like but that's the way I feel it is. Like she has definitely surfaced a lot over the past few weeks, more so than the past 4 years, you know. I actually see a light at the end of the tunnel, whereas before it just was not there. You know, I just didn't know what to do or how to, you know, all of this stuff. But it's powerful to realize that you have every right to have boundaries, and it's powerful to actually put those in place. Yeah. I did not realize how powerful that would be.
I mean, in my mind, I can just see myself. I don't know why, whenever I think of boundaries, I always picture myself out in the country on a farm with a house on the hill and a fence around my property. It's a big. And that fence has a gate and a lock.
Yeah.
And only the people I let come in. And y'all best stay out if I don't invite you.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the mental image I always get when I think of boundaries. I'm like, because inside that fence, it is so peaceful.
Yeah.
Like it is like a sanctuary. And I will guard it. That fence, that's the wall. That's it.
That is it.
And it's really big. I have a really big yard. Like it's huge. It's a farm. So I don't know what that says about me psychologically.
You think in like, I love how you think in like these pictures, and
I'm very visual.
Yes. I don't think that way. Man, I wish I did. That would be really cool.
Well, you can think about my farm.
I will now.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because like I'm just now like, why do I always put myself in this farm? And it is like, it's like this big, it actually looks similar to a house I grew up in.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. But it didn't have a fence. But yes, it's not the exact same. It's a conglomeration of places I've seen.
Okay.
But so I've put all the good things together in my mind, I think. And I just closed the gate.
That's awesome, Sarah.
Like
you've set some pretty big boundaries in the last few years.
Yeah. I mean, I had to, but
right.
I mean, for me, like when you know, people talk about boundaries, I really have appreciated like learning the difference between like a rule and demand and versus a boundary. Because like to me, so like if I like say you come in my gate, I allow you on my property and you're visiting me. And you do something that really makes me uncomfortable. I can request, hey, please don't do that. And that's a request. Like, I'm asking you, don't do that. But I mean, it's your choice whether or not you're going to do it again. And I'll give you that benefit of the doubt. Like, once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
If you do it a second or third time, to me, that's the pattern.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's a
like,
bad.
okay, you're going outside the gate now. And I'm
That's a
not opening
really
it for
good.
you. You're
I like
not
that.
opening it for you. So now,
Yeah.
like, because I could say, the boundary language is like, if you don't stop this behavior, if you're on my property,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to leave my property.
Mm-hmm.
If I can go other places and be around other people on their own property, right?
Right.
Like literally I can go visit somebody. And if
Yeah.
they decide to engage in a certain behavior that is inappropriate or makes me uncomfortable or is hurtful, etc., I can say, hey, if you're going to continue this behavior, we can go back to my house.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the boundary is where I'm at in relation to that person and
Yeah.
that behavior. Like, it's all about my action of not engaging.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a if then. Like, if you do this, then I am going to do whatever I have to decide is safe for me.
Right.
And for the most part, when it comes to those kind of people, and it depends on my level of relationship with them, but like some people, I'm like, well, I'm just not going to see you at all.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, it's like, I'll be polite when I see you.
Yeah.
And some people, it's just, I mean, for me so far, that's really been the only two options.
Right.
And they have to like completely cut it off or just maintain politeness. And it's only because those type of people I'm not obligated to see.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I'll see them around because like they're out in public, you know?
Right. Right.
And I'll be polite.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And that's just like in my mind, that's the process I kind of go through. But like for the most
That's
part,
awesome.
I'm like, you don't come on my farm if you don't be nice.
Yeah. And
And
that's just it.
that's the boundary.
I mean, it's just sort of mutual respect for another human being.
Yeah.
And there's just so much that we have to learn about just being respectful to another human being.
Well, being
that's
kind.
And kind, yeah. I mean,
because I actually don't appreciate nice. That's actually, nice is just a veneer.
Well, it's not always genuine, being nice.
It's usually someone who's kind of manipulative or who doesn't hold their own boundaries or both.
But kindness, you can't really mask. I mean, you can't really pretend kindness.
No. Well, and I think
sort
people
of
like don't understand, like when you're kind, you're going to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going to just let things slide. And I don't mean, it's not that, well, I just say things how they are and you just got to deal with it.
No.
That's not what I'm talking about.
It's not kindness.
That's not kind or nice.
Kindness is being very aware of the other person's feelings as well as your own. I mean, you're taking care of them as well.
And like, I mean, so it's like, are you the type of person who wants someone to tell you that you got something on your mouth or on your face or,
Yeah.
It's not, like the difference is like, it's nice if you just stand there and act like nothing's going on, like nothing's happening. That's nice. It's kind if you tell them, hey.
Yeah.
Like you're truthful and you don't let them embarrass themselves.
Yeah.
It's also kind and loving to not, if you're in like the type of relationship with someone, like as I would consider, like you and I, we don't let each other get by with stupid shit that's hurtful to other people, right? Like
right.
If we see something, we're like, hey, I've just noticed, and you might want to consider, and I might phrase it like, hey, I've noticed something. Are you open to hearing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're kind, loving person, you probably want to know because you don't want to be that person.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're constantly, or at least I hope you're constantly working on yourself.
Yeah.
As I mean, for one thing, your kids are growing and getting older. You're not always going to treat them the way that you are right now. You're not going to treat them this way when they're older.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you treat them right now matters. It'll matter in 10 years, and it'll matter in 12, and it'll matter in 25 and 30. And so you kind of have to think about that you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your kids, your potential grandkids, everybody that you come in contact with.
How I handle relationships now is how they will handle their relationships.
Yeah.
I'm teaching them what's acceptable and what's not.
Right.
I mean, that's what we all are doing when we have our kids while they're young and they still live at home. How we handle relationships is how they will handle them later. And if it's not healthy, I hope that I know that they're going to need therapy still from me. Because, I mean, not going to lie, I mean, like, we grew up largely in the cult and only left in the last few years, like, even the last 5 years. And, like, I did some crazy ass stuff. Like, it was awful.
Yeah.
And that's what got me started seeking help for myself, because I was actually having like almost out of body experiences, observing myself.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is not okay, and it cannot continue.
Yeah.
And I need help.
Yeah.
And I was also I was starting to understand where it was coming from,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
How do you change a behavior, and like, how do you change your mind?
Yeah.
It's not an overnight process.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
None of it is. But I mean, yeah, for me, I was seeing how awful I was to my kids.
Right.
Because, like you said, like, it was like all these things had been stuffed down and stuffed down and stuffed down.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had a lot of map of what not to do. But at the same time, that was the only map I had.
Right. Right.
And so
you didn't know what else to do.
Drawing a new map as I go at this point. And it's not going to be perfect, because it's I'm the in between. Mm-hmm. And I hope for their sake, and I think that it will be there, but I just know that they will have less to deal with in making their own map than I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, and it is a kindness to the other person to set the boundary. You can tell a lot about and teach your kids that it is a kindness to other people, because when you set that boundary, you realize what kind of a person they are. Mm-hmm. Are they going to respect the boundary, or are they going to try to push past it? And if people try to push past the boundary, that is the biggest red flag, that they don't need to be in your life. No matter who they are, they're not a safe person.
It is not kind or loving to allow someone to harm you, whether that's emotionally, physically, psychologically, whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of ways in which I would say some of the majority of the issue is actually emotional, the psychological, emotional side of it, the side that doesn't leave a mark, especially in these types of systems. Right. Especially from women, you're going to see a lot more covert style behavior of narcissism, like narcissistic type behavior, because women are taught to just shut up and be quiet. You're not allowed to have a big, loud opinion. And so they have to learn to manipulate I mean, just as a survival mechanism, you have to learn how to manipulate to get, I hate to even say getting your way, but it does turn into that. But like getting your way can also just mean be safe.
Yeah.
Or do something you
Absolutely.
like, and there's actually nothing wrong with the thing that you like. It's
Yeah.
that other people don't like it and are committed to doing what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
like, I understand like where the behavior comes from, but then as a child, you have to learn to manipulate.
Editing Sarah here. I just want to point out for the audio listeners that manipulate is in air quotes. Children are not advanced enough to actually manipulate, and what is often misinterpreted as manipulation is actually just safety seeking and not true manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
In order to stay safe, because
Yeah.
as a child, violence is encouraged towards
Oh,
children.
yeah. Completely. Yeah.
So I understand like where the behavior is learned to, but when you become an adult and it turns into something more,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not a child anymore. Now you have access to the world and the information out there to learn about your experiences. And I mean, there's a lot of information out there to help you
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. There is.
You become responsible for your actions. And when your actions are hurting people and people are saying, hey, this is hurting me, and if you can't handle something like that,
That's pretty bad.
that's pretty bad. Yeah, because again, like I understand the logic that they're using,
Mm-hmm.
but it still is requiring them to hold opposing ideas. Like
Mm-hmm.
hurting people to them is loving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that?
Yeah. Well, there was this one person that every time we would have somewhat of a disagreement or an argument, they would physically and I would turn around to leave. They would physically restrain me from doing so. And it always ended with like shoving them away or twisting myself out of their grasp or, and every time I would tell them, do not touch me. And that was like, because they were not a physical person unless it was that way. Unless we were in an argument and I turned around to leave. And then they would physically try to stop me. And they were very much in the CHM, very much professing everything in the book. And they never like bruised me or hit me or anything like that, but they would just like grab my arm and try to get me to stay, instead of letting me turn around and walk away. And it was just a boundary that was crossed, and it happened multiple times. They knew that I did not like for them to grab my arm and try to keep me, like physically restrain me. They could have gotten in trouble for doing that.
Yeah.
Because I had told them multiple times not to touch me, especially in that kind of a setting. But they were not a touchy person. They didn't touch people. They didn't hug people. They weren't like naturally.
They felt entitled to physically restrain you,
but
because
apparently,
you walk away.
Yeah, but apparently they felt, and that sticks out to me because they were an older person, and they felt that sense of entitlement over me because of who I was to them. Like, it was the most, yeah, it was
Oh.
like, and they were not part of like a close, well, it wasn't like part of my immediate family. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
part of my immediate family would have been a little bit more understanding, but they weren't. Anyway, it was just mind-boggling. And the
That
first
is
time
like
they
blowing
did
my
it,
mind. I did not know that.
yeah, the first time they did it, we'd only known each other like a couple of years. And I was blown away, and it was just multiple times it happened. So
That's crazy.
So it was just another boundary, you know.
Would
that
she keep you from leaving a home? Like,
what?
Like if we tried to leave, like the entire, like a residence, or just her presence, or like walk to
No,
another room?
I just wanted to go to another room, you know, get away from it. I'd said my piece. I was done. I was mad, and I wanted to go cool off. And she didn't want me to leave, so she would like grab my arm. I mean, like both hands
Hard.
sometimes, and just, oh yeah. And I didn't like completely shove her, but I would like, you know, like twist my arm out of her grasp, and every time I would tell her, do not touch me. I mean, it was like and I had every right to tell her not to touch me, and I was always made to feel bad about telling her not to touch me.
Oh,
and it was just like every time it happened, it made me so mad. Oh, anyway.
I mean, it makes me mad right now.
Well, even husband and wife, when they're in an argument, should never touch each other, like lay hands on each other. Only like when they're coming back to reconcile.
That's called domestic violence. Actually, what he was doing was domestic violence.
It was domestic violence, absolutely. And it wasn't harmful to my like physical, but it was definitely mentally harmful to me.
It doesn't have to hurt for it to be violent.
No. It does. It was very violent, and it obviously affected me for sure.
Well, let's like wrap this up.
Okay, my kids are waiting for me to go cook for them. So
okay, well, I need to go cook food for me. I'm hungry, but I really like doing it this way. I like the interview kind of thing.
I do too.
So maybe next time
I'll interview you. Yes.
But there's more questions that we can keep going, like as we do whatever. But
I like this.
I want to thank everyone for like listening as we talk through our trauma.
Yes.
If you would like to be a guest on our show with this same interview, this is what we would interview. Of course, it would be more personalized to you. You can send us an email at I'mOnThePhonePodcastMoms@gmail.com. Of course, like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening on the party line to I'm on the Phone podcast with Sarah and Christy. Join us again next week for more stories about our pre, post, and mid-culty life. Thanks again for listening.